Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Conversations with Vicki. Today, I have a very special guest, and we're going to delve into all things about coaching, but yet so much more. So, I'm going to turn it over to you. I want you to introduce yourself, but we're going to do that by me asking you my very first and very favorite question, which is, who are you?
Wow, that's an amazing question. Well, I am Dr. Aikyna Finch. I always say I am because I invites people to the experience. You can tell them what your name is all day long, but when you say I am, you're inviting them to experience the experience of you, if that makes sense. I am a coach. I am a speaker. I am an author, but I'm also a loving individual. I am a caring individual. I'm an academic to the hilt. Love, love, love learning and love sharing what I've learned. And I'm also a person who um, feels deeply and wants others to feel deeply as well. I love critical thinking and I love to make people think about things differently. So that is who I am.
Oh, I love that. I knew you'd have a beautiful answer to that. That's awesome. So, you talked about being an academic. I'd love for us to maybe talk about who you are today, but then
Yes.
also the journey that you went on to get here, because it is a different journey. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about that because I think it's going to be so inspiring.
Wow. So where I am today uh, is I am in a place where I get to help others be great. And that was always the goal. I've known that I have been a service person since I was 5 years old. I knew I was going to be a teacher. I walked in, well, I was four technically. I walked into kindergarten and I saw this 6 foot statuesque human being that looked down at me and smiled. And I looked way up there at her and smiled. And I said, and I saw all the little kids gathered around her. And I said, I want to be this. I want to be that energy that everybody wants to be around. I want to be that energy that inspires others. And I want to be that energy that helps them get to their next level. And uh, I had my first class in first grade. And, because I finished all my work early, so they had to find something for me to do. So they found, let me go hang out with the little kindergartners and things like that. And I did that throughout. No, I'm sorry, it was fifth grade. It was my first class. And then I did it in fifth and sixth. And it was amazing to know that I was touching young lives. And I was like, I'm still a kid, but I'm already touching somebody else's life. Then they let me work with children with special needs. And that was even more empowering. Come to find out later on in life, I became a special education parapro so that I got to work with children with special needs, behavioral, all the different things from severe to mild, and working with them and meeting them where they at and letting them know that they do have things that's possible that they can do too, despite of what other people tell them and whatever they may limitations they may have. And that really empowered me to then become a dean. And I was a dean at 32, and so people thought that that was really out there. But, I was like, in spite of my age, let me see what I can give to you. Let me see where I can help you get to. And as a dean, I found coaching. And they were shocked at my method. I was coach leading, even before I knew what it was. And when I got into that training, it really took me to my next level to realize that I was going to serve others in a capacity that far outweighed anything that I thought, because Before I became a dean, I was a ACAP counselor, so I helped soldiers find jobs. And of course, I couldn't just give them classes and stuff. I had to make a social media platform for them, and we had to have different networking opportunities for them, and we had to do all these things. I always had to do above and beyond what they asked me to do. Why? Because I always thought my people needed more, and they deserved more, and so I gave them more. And through this journey, now I am a DEIB director. So I get to work with DEIB issues all day long. And I'm realizing the depth of it. Most people think it's race and gender and this and that, but it's so much more. The doors are so open, and it is so many ways for you to be included and have, things to be fair and things to everyone to have their equal footing. It's so amazing. But at the end of the day, I'm a servant that gets to serve people and gets to watch them reach their higher heights because of the way I've served them. So that is where I am, and that's my journey.
Oh, I love that. I just love that. I want to ask you, we all have tough days.
Mm-hmm.
We all have days when we're frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How do you handle days like that?
I could say I'm always chipper. That's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel deeply, I take things personal. I do. Because I put a lot, I put effort in, and I want people to see the vision. And when they don't, it is frustrating. But then I also have to remember that just because I get it like this doesn't mean that everybody else is going to. And everybody else deserves their space in order to get there, just like I had my space to get there. And so when I start looking at it from a coach lens, it usually calms me down. Now, I don't know. Maybe it is the Libra in me, but I don't like inequality, and I need my balance and things like that. So those things, they do trigger me. But at the end of the day, I am glad that I have those hard times because it makes me a stronger human being. Yeah. And you are not going to ever have a testimony without a test. And so whenever I get frustrated, I just see it as a test that's going to make me have a stronger testimony. So that's what I think about when I'm going through those hard times.
I love that you're shining a light on that because, when I looked at your bio, and when anybody would look at your bio, you're so amazingly accomplished and impressive, right? And yet you're so incredibly kind and humble and down to earth and human. And so the reason that I asked you that question is because so many times, we look at people who have done extraordinary things in life and you feel like they must have it all figured out. And what I've come to learn is that, these incredible humans that I've been meeting along my journey is we don't all have it figured out. And it's wonderful to see that someone else has struggles. But, what separates some people is some people sit and dwell in it and others choose how they react and respond to it. And so I love you sharing, how you're able to overcome that. So thank you for, shining a light on that. Tell me something. What is inspiring you right now?
Wow. That's a good question. Right now, I am inspired by learning. I looked at this year, and last year I did a TED Talk on AI, and now I'm seeing all these evolutions of AI. And did different conferences and different things on coaching, and now I'm seeing these evolutions in coaching. I love the fact that the things that I was interested in just dabbling in, now everybody's interested in. I love the experience of having learning be there, and the fact that it's such a learning season. And I love being immersed in all of the different things that life has to offer. And the thing that is really inspiring me right now is taking the time to learn it and learn it well. That bio that you saw, as you could probably think, I didn't have a lot of time to smell the roses and things of that nature. But now I do have time. And what happens? I'm learning. So I get to smell the roses, see what other people are seeing, see different perspectives. And that inspires me because I didn't always have that luxury as a young adult. And now I'm taking all those opportunities to make myself a better person and then share what I've learned with others who are going on the same or similar journeys.
I love that. I still love that. So you alluded a little bit to your TEDx talk about AI, and you're right. It was just at that inflection point before everybody was talking about it, and then it exploded within like a couple of months, right? Can we talk about you being a woman in technology? I mean, how impressive is that? And again, I'm going to refer back to your bio, but just like some of the amazing things that you have. But I don't want to even talk about what you've done. What I want to talk about is your willingness to embrace the difficult things. And I say difficult because to me, technology is slightly difficult, right? But it was almost overcoming this programming that I had as a young woman growing up, right? Around technology, and that I can do technology. I now work in digital, right? Interestingly enough, but tell me about your journey embracing technology and the experience that you have and are having as a woman in technology, because you are still very much on the forefront of what is happening there, in addition to you being a coach and all of these other incredible things.
Oh, so yeah, being a woman in technology has been a ride. I think my first true experience was at 16, where it was all the men and me. And they were like, oh, can you lift that? Or can you do? Yes, I can do everything you can do. If I need help, then I will ask, but do not assume that I'm going to need your help first. Let me try it and let me do it. And so from there, I think the next real major experience was when I was a dean over the School of ICS and Security. And it was CIS and Security. And so it was, oh, how can you be my boss? Because, there was a culture shock. A lot of the people that taught for my school had a gender bias just by their culture. And so when here I show up, and for those who may not have seen me, I don't know how it's gonna go. I am I'm 5'2", Black woman, and so
I'm really small too.
so it's like, this is my boss. I am her. And it took a minute for them to respect me, but after having 515 faculty and 155 classes, and my thing went well, and I won the award after the year. They got on board. And was the ride easy? No. Did we have to change some barriers and change some minds? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, is that journey worth it? I wouldn't have traded it for the world, because it let me appreciate who I am and where I sit. And then when other little girls that want to be like me see that it's possible, you know, and most likely will be easier because I did that road, that means the world to me.
Oh, I love that. So powerful. So this brings me to this question. When I look at my audience, interestingly enough, I went into this thinking that only women who look like me would want to listen to my content, right? So middle-aged, whatever, right? And what I found is that the majority of my listeners are in their 20s, 30s, and early 40s, right? And not only that, but there are more men listening than there are women.
Yes. I just found that out about my stuff as well. I go through my analytics on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And recently, I did like a picture shift.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that more men are on my pages now. And you know, so when you do the picture shift, you kind of check your analytics. There's more men, and they're more, and everybody's more younger.
Yes.
And because they are craving the information. And for people my age are not really talking about what I talk about, and that's okay. You know, coaching, they're usually older than me, and technology, they're usually younger than me. And so it's like, so when I look at my audience, it kind of comes full circle. I can see where the technology people fall off and the coaching people come back in and things of that nature. But I've always been an anomaly. It would be even in elementary school, it would be me and the teachers talking. You know, I'm having a full adult conversation at 10. But it's just the way it was. I have always been a little old soul, and I've been really cerebral, and so I could do those things. And in the end of the day, I was made that way for what I do now. I used to tell them, I hope you don't, this is just the way I think. I say all those things that sucked as a child made me great as an adult, because I was already homing myself in as this little adult as a child. So now that I'm an adult, I'm shining bright because I found my audience. My children were not my audience at that time, and I had to be okay with that. But so now you're right. It is amazing what we attract, but I think it's our energy and our content, not us. Yeah, so I was like, okay. I used to be like, well, why aren't there this or not that? I said, but guess what? I'm not for everybody, but I am for somebody. And these are the somebodies I'm here for, and I'm going to give them my best. So that's what I think about when I see my analytics.
I love that.
My somebodies.
I love that. So what I wanted to ask you as a follow-up to that, and I'm so glad that we're finding the same trends. I was like, because I was always like, this is really strange. Is the data correct? But my question to you, and I ask myself this very often, what advice do you want to give to this younger audience that is so hungry to learn from what we have learned through our experiences and through the journeys that we've walked through and the paths that we've been paving for them? Maybe one or two big things that you'd want to impart on this younger audience.
I appreciate them wanting to work smarter, not harder. Keep doing that. Keep gleaning from the information and from others that's doing it. I've noticed that millennials are about to do it. You could talk at them all day long, and that's what they see it at, but they are paying attention to your actions, and they're paying attention to the results of the actions. So they're gleaning. That's why they love podcasts. That's why they love this, because they're going to listen to it and they're going to be like, okay, and then they're going to go to your pages and see if you actually did it. And then if you did, then they're ride or dies because you have shown yourself approved. I love that. The other thing would be keep an open mind, keep exploring, because when we get rigid and stuck in our ways, we miss so many beautiful opportunities. I am multifaceted. In a world where people keep telling me that I need to have a niche, guess what? If I just stuck to one thing, which was technology at the time, I wouldn't have been an academic. Well, actually, the academics came first. So I wouldn't have been a technologist. I wouldn't have been a coach. I wouldn't have been a speaker, relatively speaking. And I definitely, I would have been an author, but it would have been academic papers. It wouldn't have been books, and it wouldn't have been articles. So, but I kept my options open. I kept being free. I kept exploring, and I kept looking at things as how could I bring everything full circle. But if you look at everything that I've done, you see one common thread, which is servant leadership. And everything I do, from the writing, from the speaking, from the teaching, from the coaching, from even the ministry, yes, servant leadership. So if you look at everything you do, look at it, put it all together, and you will find that common thread that keeps you going. And if they ask you what your niche is, that's your niche, that common thread that keeps you going throughout all the things. So if they ask me, it would be servant leadership. So what is yours? So that's my challenge to you. Find out what your common thread is in all the things you're doing, and know that it's okay to be multifaceted in the process.
I love that. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur as well, right? And I have a lot of interests. And I used to be so judgmental towards that because we are trained to be good at one thing, right? You go to school, you get one major and maybe a minor. But if you get a minor, it's like, you're slightly of an anomaly. If you get a double major, you're a real anomaly, right? So everything since we're at school, you're good at writing or you're good at math. It was never you're good at writing and good at math, right? So I grew up believing that I was only good, in the creative side of the brain and not on the scientific and analytical. And yet I loved learning about science and what have you. And so I came across this quote, and I'm going to read it because you hit the nail on the head. And the quote is by none other but Shakespeare, who said, "A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one."
Yes.
And you're a master of more than one, right? And that's better. And so I love that. And I think that if we can inspire, this younger generation to open up their minds and to say hey, I can live a life of and. It doesn't have to be a life of or. I think that could be so, so wonderful and so beautiful. Well, I've found our conversation so incredibly inspiring. Can you tell us, where can everybody find you? Your webpage, your book, everything. How can people find you?
Well, everything is on AikynaFinch.com, and that's AikynaFinch.com. You can also find me on all social media handles at Dr. Finch. That is for Dr. A.D. Finch. And definitely look out for me. YouTube has all of the different videos, podcasts. I do have a podcast called Change Your Minds Online. And most of the good ones are on Motivate Social. So definitely check that out. And in the end of the day, you can also have one called Technically Intuitive. That's where all of my tech ideas and things are. So go find those. but the main hub is AikynaFinch.com.
I love that. And it's all going to be included in the show notes, obviously, but I wanted you to also share that. Any final thoughts before we end our beautiful conversation?
You are enough. And the reason why I always say that is because a lot of people that I talk to, including myself, when you're multifaceted in different things, you don't tend to fit in with the crowd. But sometimes you're built not to fit in for just that reason, so that you could be used to be a light, to shine a little bit brighter so that you can show others the way. And so when you're not fitting in, don't feel as it's a dig against you. Feel that it is a leverage for you to be all that you can be and then share all that you can be with the world. So that is what I would like to leave everybody with.
You are enough. My God, how powerful is that? You know, you said that and I literally went, oh, that is just so nice to hear. And so for anybody listening, just remember, if there's one thing that you take away from this conversation, you're enough. I think that's so beautiful. Thank you. I am so incredibly grateful that you and I met and that I had the privilege to have this conversation with you. You've been absolutely amazing. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.